Welcome back to the channel, and this is what we'll be talking about in this video. So, although the style of the video will seem a bit more like it's made using the ideology of a scrapbook, right, having bits and pieces being cut and put together, I hope that just like a scrapbook, um, you will see the value in this video, and I'm just happy to share my knowledge with you in whichever way, shape, or form. So at the end of the day, if you learn something, that's a win for me. So after this introduction portion, you'll be watching a video that was recorded as part of an online course that I made. So if you like it, do check out my course. I'll have the link in the description, and you can see the link too at the bottom of this video together with my YouTube and Instagram socials. Alright, so enough with the introduction, and let's get started. Trigo can be split into two branches. So the first branch is actually your Tuakaso. Why Trigo is actually why Trigo can be split into two branches is actually because the first branch, the Tuakaso, can only be used for your right angle triangle. So over here, I've denoted it with a right angle triangle over here. So we explain a little more on the Tokaso to give you a summary. But over here, you may notice that I have this formula as well, and that is your Pythagoras theorem. So the Pythagoras theorem is also a formula that can only be used for right angle triangle. So although it's not strictly under the chapter of trigonometry or trigo, I've put it here because it can be used to find your length if you have a right angle triangle. So the very quick summary for your Pythagoras theorem is that this is your C. So the hypotenuse of your right angle triangle is called your C. So the hypotenuse, which is the longest side, is called your C. And then you can have this being A, and this being B, or you can swap things around. You can have this being called length B and this being called length A. So there's a bit of flexibility for the other two lengths for Pythagoras theorem, but for your C, it must be your longest side, your hypotenuse. All right. Then after that, we did mention about the Tokaso. So over here, you have your sine theta being equals to opposite over hypotenuse, cosine theta being equals to adjacent over hypotenuse, and then you have your tangent theta being equals to opposite over adjacent. So very quick recap on what this opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse is. So over here, using this triangle again, let's say I call this angle theta. So if I have this angle as theta, my hypotenuse will still be this. So previously we used C as the name for the hypotenuse, but in your Tokaso, you will use H as the name for the hypotenuse. And then according to this angle theta, right, this length here is going to be my opposite, while this length here is going to be my adjacent. So this opposite, this is adjacent. Why is this length called adjacent, right? So adjacent has the English meaning of being beside, right? So this length is actually right beside your theta here, so that's why it's adjacent, right? And then this length here is opposite to your theta, so it's called opposite. Now, the tricky or interesting bit for Tokaso is that the theta can change, meaning I can have this angle being theta, or I can have this angle here being theta. If this angle on top is your theta, now that would change your O and your A. It will not change your hypotenuse because hypotenuse is always the longest side, so no change to the H, but it will change your O and the A. So if that's the case, your adjacent is now this length and your opposite is now this length. So that's the confusing bit for some students, right? How come sometimes when they use the Tokaso formula, they can get an answer and sometimes they can't. right? That is because your length that you define as your opposite, as your adjacent, changes depending on which angle you want as theta or you let as theta. All right. Now, over here, your torcaso can be used to find angle, so theta, or it can be used to find length, either your opposite or hypotenuse, or in this case, adjacent or hypotenuse, or in the tangent's case, opposite or adjacent. So you can use it to find angle or use it to find length, right? So just a very quick one on how do you find it. So imagine if you know both O and H. So like O is 10, H is, O is 5, and H is 10, right? What will happen is that to find the angle here, you just need to do a sine inverse, and you'll be able to get a theta here. So you will notice that in your torcaso, there's three unknowns, right? If you know any two of the three, you can find the third one, right? And that's uh, very logical, right? So out of the three unknowns, if you know two out of the three, you can find the third one. In this case, the third unknown can be angle. So if I know two of the length, I can do a sine inverse if it's sine, cosine inverse if it's a cosine, tangent inverse if it's a tangent, and find that angle theta. All right, so if I want to find length, I will need the angle theta and then another length. So imagine I'm trying to find my adjacent here, right? So what will happen is that I need to have the angle first and I need to have this length. And then I will do cross multiplication to get A. All right, so over here I won't go too in depth, just a very quick summary, right? If you find any of these concepts that I mentioned foreign, you can refer to the previous videos in this chapter where I've already mentioned these concepts before. All right. So last but not least, if you want to find this length, all right, the length on top. Sorry, I mean the length below. So just now I did already mention if you want to find the length on top, you need these two, the theta here as well as the hypotenuse, right? Now, if you want to find the length at the bottom, you will still need angle theta and you will need this length on top. And how you get it after putting in the values is the same, cross multiply and solve for your adjacent. All right, so that is actually your torcaso, and that is used for right angle triangles only.
Thank you for watching to the end of the video, and I hope that you have learned something. If you did, don't forget to give this video a like and comment on one thing that you like about the video, right? Also, please help to share this video and subscribe to the channel because that will really help me a lot, and your support means the world to me. So if you don't like the video, no worries. Comment and let me know what you didn't like about it so that I can improve and I can change in the next few videos. Alright, so that's it. Thanks all, and I'll see you in the next video.